Hi everybody, my name is Victoria. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, a big warm welcome to you. Thank you for clicking today and for checking out the channel. Today I am talking about all the books that I read in winter. I'm looking back seasonally at my reading. I've done this before on my channel here and there, but I'm not sure I've really done it consistently, so I'm making a renewed effort to consistently look back at every season. And so in the winter, first of all, I count winter as January, February, December. I should start with December. I count winter as December, January, February, and that is my definition of winter, even though it's not a true definition of winter. That's how I'm looking at it. So I read 9 books this winter. I read 1 science fiction novel. I read 3 fantasy novels. I read 3 classics, and I read 2 historical fiction. And looking back at those genres, that sounds about right. Nothing like out of the ordinary, nothing unusual here. Those are definitely the things that I've been reading the most of lately. Historical fiction kind of surprises me. I feel like I usually have like 1 historical fiction here or there, but I have 2, so a little bit more than usual. I read 3 of these books in December, 4 of them in January, and 2 of them in February. So January being the most page count also. I just finished more things in January. I feel like that happens to me every January. It's just the New Year's resolutions and just feeling more motivated to read. I tend to read more in January for whatever reason. I think it's the beginning of the year hype. And then February, a steep decline. So that's actually usually how my reading goes. But out of these 9 books, 2 of them were 3-star reads, 4 of them were 4-star reads, and 3 of them were 5-star reads. And that is pretty good. No 2-star reads, no 1-star reads, so I can't complain there. I don't think I DNF'd anything either. So all positive things. Generally, I enjoyed what I was reading. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is rank them in order of lowest rating to highest rating. And I may or may not have different ratings like on my Goodreads and StoryGraph for some of these. I feel like some of these I might have rated a little higher upon finishing them. But now looking back, I may have adjusted some of those ratings as I was making my ranking. So not that you're doing this, but if you do go to Goodreads and I say something was a 3-star and it was actually a 4-star, that's very possible. So maybe I'll eventually go back and change some of those ratings online, but this is my rating as it stands right now. So in spot number 9, my least favorite book that I read this winter was The Final Revival of Opal and Nev by Donnie Walton. This was a book I got in a Book of the Month box back in 2021. So I am glad that I finally read it and got it off of my shelf, but this is it's a little bit like Daisy Jones and the Six, where we follow a musician. It's in a very like mockumentary style, and this particular musician is mostly big in the 70s in New York City, and she is part of actually a duo. She's an African-American singer, songwriter, musician, and she is paired up with a white man, and they have this duo called Opal and Nev, like think like Sonny and Cher, that kind of thing. And so it talks about their relationship as a musical duo, and also the things that led to their falling out, and like the challenges that they faced being also an interracial musical duo at this time in history. And so I did enjoy it. I enjoyed a lot about it, but for me, ultimately, I found it to be forgettable. My biggest flaw with this was that I didn't love our main character. I wished that I connected with her a little bit more, but I actually found her kind of abrasive and aggressive, and there is also a storyline in here that's very central to the plot that I just didn't enjoy. So there were things that were positive about it, but overall, not one I'm probably going to revisit. I might unhaul this copy as well. I just don't see myself reading this again. So this is at the bottom of the pile. Not a terrible read if you're interested in this and you think you're interested in this topic, then give it a go, but not for me. So putting this probably in an unhaul pile to go out eventually. In spot number 8, I put The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. I was a little bit surprised I didn't put this higher, but just compared to some of my other reads, I think I just enjoyed other things more. That's the bottom line. So this is the second book in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. There are 5 books, I think. 5, I think. I do plan on reading the others, so I am glad that I got another one in my belt. So this one, I thought it had many of the same things that I liked about Hitchhikers, but it follows a character who I'm just not as interested in. Actually, the character who I don't really like, and he's a big part of the story. And so you're mostly following him. It's Zaphod. And so Zaphod is just not one of my favorites. So it still was funny. It still made me laugh. It's still clever. It still has the same dry British witty humor that I love. I just didn't think this did anything especially better than the first one. I think that's what it comes down to. I just like the first one better. But I still enjoyed a lot of parts of this. And it does end up on a little bit of a cliffhanger, so I have not stopped thinking about that. So I will continue. I do want to read this whole series. But yeah, this one just a little bit lower than the first Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book, but it still had many things that I like about the series. So I will be continuing, but that is my spot number 8. In spot number 7, I'm putting the short second life of Bree Tanner. There's so many books with these long titles that are structured this way. Look at this. Hold on, tangent. The Final Revival of Opal and Nev. The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner. These are so long. all 3 of these. Just a weird coincidence. Okay, so this is a book in the Twilight series, but it's a little bit more of a novella afterthought. And it's certainly not essential to the series. This comes after Breaking Dawn, and it follows an extremely minor character, but it's still fun. I can't really justify liking this book more than this one, but here we are. I just think Stephenie Meyer, she just knows how to draw me in. This one's a little bit more like violent and dark. We're following more of the vampire side of things, which is part of Twilight that I actually really like. I like when we delve more into the vampire world, rather than the just like Cullen family. The Cullen family does show up in this book, but it's a little bit more about the bad guys. So this is not an amazing book by any stretch of the imagination, but I still had a really fun time, as I always do with Stephenie Meyer. So just a fun read. So there we go. There's Bree Tanner. Okay, now for a book that actually has a one-word title. And that is Babylonia by Costanza Casati. I actually forgot to talk about this book in my February wrap-up. Yeah, my recent reading wrap-up, which maybe says something. Maybe I should put this lower on my ranking. But when I think about this book, I really did like it. I don't know why. I just forgot to mention it. I just forgot to talk about it. But this follows Semiramis, who is, I think based on a real queen in ancient Babylonia and Assyria. And so this is not like a world that I knew very much about, or a legend that I knew very much about, but I believe this is based on real royals. And so it's about Semiramis and her rise to royalty. She actually was a peasant. She was not royalty. And she sort of married an important person. And then you see her climb and how she maneuvers like these political world that's very brutal. I mean, it's ancient history, so it's very brutal. There's lots of war and death and killing and scary things like that. So I really thought this was beautifully written. This author has writing chops, very much so. There was a storyline that, again, I didn't like. There's a few of these books where it's like there's like a relationship storyline, a romantic storyline that I just don't care for, and this had that. So that was kind of what brought it down for me. But I did give this book 4 stars. I liked a lot of it, and it's very much about the political, what's the word? It's about the political intrigue. There we go. This is a very political intrigue kind of book, and also with a very strong feminist flair. So that actually tends to be, whenever Book of the Month picks books like this, they're very like feminist. There's all these like mythological retelling kind of books that have a feminist center point. Just an observation that Book of the Month picks a lot of books like that. So I gave one a go, and it was good. It was good. Give it a go if you want to try it and it sounds interesting. Okay. And so now we're coming up to number 5, I believe, and I actually don't have a copy of this book. So this was The Black Tulip by Alexandre Dumas. This was a read for Patreon, for Tiffany's Patreon at the channel, A Beautiful Minutia. And I've been really liking reading a classic with that group, even though I keep missing the discussions, but I'm still reading along with them, but haven't made it to a discussion yet this year. Just luck of the draw. The Black Tulip, that's what I was talking about. Losing my train of thought. The Black Tulip is a very odd book. It's very odd, but it was fascinating. I learned some things about the Netherlands that I didn't know before. The tulip craze, didn't know that was a thing. And that this was like based on real history of these competitions to grow these very expensive tulips that would go for a lot of money. And so this is kind of it's not terribly deep, but I think what I liked about this was that I learned things about the Netherlands. And also Alexandre Dumas, like once he gets going, just writes a really good action adventure story. This was compared by some people in the chat, in the Discord chat, to be like very like what is it, the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote and like The Chase, and that is very much correct. So it does have a little bit of a formula for a while. It's like the good guy takes 2 steps forward and then the bad guy comes in and thwarts, you know, that happens for a long time, kind of back and forth in this book. But nonetheless, I never found it like formulaic or uninteresting. Like it was always fun, but it definitely has a very mustache twirling kind of villain. So Alexandre Dumas, he knows how to write action. It's the action adventure part of it. It's the plot. So, you know, not like the best characters. The female character in this is definitely like a little bit of a wilting flower a lot of the time. She does have some role to play though in the story going forward, and you do see her grow and be a little bit more strong, but a little bit damsel in distress. But I still had a really fun time with this. I'm not a person that loved The Count of Monte Cristo. For me, there's so much of that book that drags. And so I felt like this being shorter, but also having that kind of exciting action that Count of Monte Cristo also has, this just worked better for me. So I actually like this more than The Count of Monte Cristo. Maybe on par. I don't know. I should reread The Count of Monte Cristo. One that I haven't read, I've not read The Three Musketeers, so I do want to read that eventually. But I've heard people don't like The Three Musketeers as much as The Count of Monte Cristo, so I don't know. I don't know where I'll fall, but I really liked Black Tulip. It was a good time, so pick it up if you find it, if it sounds interesting. I definitely learned some things about Netherlands history that I didn't know before. I knew basically nothing before, so that's not saying very much. Okay, spot number 4. We're getting to the top ones that I had the most fun reading. And the next one, I'm going to put Warbreaker in spot number 4. This was one that was on my Cosmere TBR for a really long time, and I just had not made time for it, but I've been doing a Stormlight Archives reread, and I knew that there was a lot in Warbreaker that comes into the series, especially when you get to like books 2 and 3 in the Stormlight Archives. So I knew I had to put this in. And yeah, it has some of the things about older Sanderson books that I really like. Like, I feel like in his older works that were more like standalone, like Elantris and Warbreaker, he dives so deeply into the political intrigue. Maybe more so than he does with, I feel like his later works have been a little bit more action heavy, and I'm not saying surface level, but like a little bit more plot moving forward, less like political intrigue, and just the layers of the political intrigue I really thought were quite intricate in this. So I really admire him for his plotting and the way things are sort of gradually revealed to you about this world. And I also really liked I thought the female characters were really well done in Warbreaker. And I enjoyed their story, and the sisters, and sort of the expectations that are that they like grow up with, and then their challenge, like their expectations of their world are challenged, and just the way that develops them. I really enjoyed the 2 main female characters in this book. And yeah, there's just a lot of things that I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And so just the gradual revealing of the plot and what's really going on in this world was really fun. So that was Warbreaker. Still, you know, not like my favorite Cosmere book ever, but it was a good time. And I also loved Nightblood and learning about Nightblood and having context for, what's his name of this one? I can't remember because I'm only thinking of his name in Stormlight Archives, and he has a different name in Stormlight Archives. What is his name? You know what I mean. Some of you, if you know, you know. Oh, Vasher. There we go. It's like, what is his name? I also really like Vasher as a main character. He's fun to follow. So yeah, we love a grumpy main character. So Warbreaker, definitely high up on my list. Okay. Next up, I'm kind of, I don't know, I really enjoyed this next one, but I feel like comparing it to Warbreaker, it's like completely like apples and oranges. So then the next thing is Christmas at Thompson Hall by Anthony Trollope. Again, this is really long. Christmas at Thompson Hall is really short. So it's not even like a full novel. So I feel silly comparing them, but I had so much fun with Christmas at Thompson Hall. Once you kind of see where it's going, it's funny. This is a funny little story. I just thought it was a hoot. I can't talk too much about it because it's so short. I don't want to give anything away, but I so enjoyed this, and it was just like a nice little Christmas snack. It was a Christmas time snack to read. And I definitely want to read more Anthony Trollope. This convinced me. I must read Anthony Trollope. I've just been a little intimidated because most of Anthony Trollope's books that I want to read are like this big. So, I need to. I really enjoyed his writing in this. Okay, number 2 is another classic, White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Another short story that is ranking really highly. I just had such a good time. I was really enjoying the short stories in the winter, I guess. And White Nights is about a man who is in a city and he's lonely and he comes across a woman and it goes from there. Again, it's too short to talk about very much, but this had so many of the things that I love about Dostoevsky, just in a shorter format. I've read some of his big ones, like Brothers Karamazov and Crime and Punishment, and I think that this was such a nice little taste of his writing, and I hadn't read his writing in a while, and just the languishing and the pining and the characters in their heads and thinking, all and like going through these philosophical musings. This was just like the perfect winter cozy read, and just the drama, the romance, and really, I just really enjoyed this. It's such a cozy fireplace kind of read. I do recommend. And it also reminded me, I really need to read some more Dostoevsky very soon. I have some more short stories in a collection, so maybe I could do that. Or eventually, I have Demons by Fyodor Dostoevsky that I started and then put down a long time ago. So eventually, I do want to read Demons and go back to it. Anyways, we're not talking about Dostoevsky anymore. Now we need to talk about our number one book, which will come as no surprise to anyone who's been watching my latest videos. I have, since reading this book, I have been singing its praises. I have even convinced like 2 different people to read it. So, and they have read it, and most of them have enjoyed it, but maybe, I don't think either one of them enjoyed it as much as I did. So, that book is Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Wong, which is my new favorite Emma Wong book between Sword of Kaigan and Blood Over Brighthaven. I actually like this one the most. I should reread Sword of Kaigan before I officially pronounce that as my opinion, but I think that's right. I think it's right. So this is another standalone fantasy by Emma Wong, and I just thought this was so well crafted. The mystery of the world and how things are revealed to you. There's lots of clues along the way, but if you're dense like me, you don't pick up on them. And so the big reveal was still surprising to me, even though looking back, I was like, yeah, she was pretty heavy-handed with her clues of what's going on in this world. But this is also sort of a dark academia center. It's there's like a magical school and people who use magic, but the magic is a little more technical, like think Brandon Sanderson kind of technical. So I enjoy that kind of thing. Diving into that and having those details, the nitty-gritty, I thought this was really cool. Great explanation, I know. I have talked about this extensively, so I don't want to gush too long about it, but just know that I think this is a book that explores so many things. I do think the themes, I was talking to Dia about this, Dia at A Novel Idea, and I do think I agree with her. She mentioned the themes being very heavy-handed, and yes, I think I agree. I think Sword of Kaigan not so heavy-handed with its themes. This one very much so. And I think she does kind of get repetitive to a degree once she is trying to tell you, like, this is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. I do get that a little bit in this. But it was still just so well done. I didn't find myself annoyed by that at all. But it was noticeable. So you might not enjoy that if you don't enjoy, like if you want more subtlety in your themes, this does not do that. This is a little bit more like, this is what I want you to think about this topic. So, yeah. But I just thought, you know, this book was so explosive at the end, and it was well crafted. It was logical. It had a satisfying ending, and like there weren't any loose ends. I just thought it was like really well honed, and also just fascinating as I was going. And not only that, okay, I lied. I'm going to keep gushing. The characters. I love the characters in this book and their arc. They were originally, like, I feel like every character in this book, your main characters, they have something to dislike about them. Our main character is not super likable at first. But it doesn't matter, because her journey is her discovering her flaws, and like the flaws in her thinking about how she sees her world and how she sees others in her world. And so you just go through this amazing journey with this character, and it just was very real. I think these characters they really felt like real people, and that includes like the good and the bad, you know? So I just felt like these characters were very multifaceted, and it was really neat to see them learn and grow and come to an understanding and challenge their own understanding about the world. So absolutely can't recommend it highly enough. Will sing its praises. Best book I've read in 2025 for sure so far. Yeah, and best book I read all winter. All right, we have made it through. Those are all of the books that I read in winter, and kind of my quick thoughts about them. Some of them are quicker thoughts than others. And yeah, thank you for watching today. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I would love for you to leave a snowflake letting me know that you made it to the end. Snowflake for winter wrap up. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I have some other links down below if you want to follow me in other places like Discord, Instagram, Goodreads, Storygraph, things like that. And subscribe to this channel if you're not already and you want to see more content from me. And I will hopefully remember to do another seasonal wrap up in the spring. We'll see. We'll see if I remember to do it. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful week. And until next time, bye-bye.